The Revolution, Part 11. Western and government symbols such as cinemas, bars, state owned banks, and police stations were set ablaze. Units of the Imperial Iranian Army were deployed to restore order. The death toll, according to the government, was six, while Khomeini claimed hundreds were martyred. 40 days later, on 29th March, demonstrations were organized in at least 55 cities, including Tehran. In an increasingly predictable pattern, deadly riots broke out in major cities, and again 40 days later, on 10 May, army commandos operated fire on Shariat Mandari's house, killing one of his students. Shariat Mandari immediately made a public announcement declaring his support for a constitutional government and a return to the policies of 1906 constitution. That was a big blow to Shah. Let's talk about the government's reaction. The Shah was taken completely by surprise by the protest and often became indecisive during the times of crisis. Virtually every major decision he made backfired and further inflamed the revolutionaries. The Shah decided to continue on his plan of liberalization and to negotiate rather than to use force against the still nascent protest movement. He promised fully democratic elections for the Majlis would be held in 1979. He relaxed censorship and a resolution was drafted to help reduce corruption within the royal family and the government. Protesters were tried in civilian courts rather than by the military courts or the martial courts, and were quickly released as well. Iran's security forces had not received any riot control training and no equipment was there since 1963. As a result, police forces were unable to control demonstrations. Thus, the army was frequently deployed. Soldiers were instructed not to use deadly force, yet there were instances of inexperienced soldiers reacting excessively, inflaming the violence without cowing the opposition and receiving official condemnation from the Shah. The Carter administration of USA also refused to sell non-lethal tear gas and rubber bullets to Iran. As early as February, riots in Tabriz, the Shah fired all Savak officials in the city as a concession to the opposition and soon began to dismiss civil servants and government officials whom he felt public had blamed. In the first national concession, he replaced the hotline Sevak chief General Ne'matullah Nasir with more moderate General Nasir Moghadan. The government also negotiated with the moderate religious leaders such as Shariat Mandari, apologizing to him for the raid on his house. When we talk about the early summer in the month of June, of course, there were difficulties, and by summer, it was all out of the hands of the Shah government. By the summer, protesters had stagnated, remaining at a steady rate for 4 months with about 10,000 participants in each major city, with the exception of Isfahan, where protests were larger and Tehran, where they were smaller, protesting every 40 days. This